Right, here we are. The countdown's back, but we're back in a completely different setting to normal. Trying to be a bit more professional on GTL these days. Trying to bring you guys what you want to see. And that's me and JG sat on a settee for talking about tennis.
Yeah. Well, we'll see how it goes, obviously. This is a bit of a trial. We're hoping to do all of our countdown episodes like this. We think it looks a little bit more professional. Hopefully, the tennis knowledge can be equally as professional. Well, of course, we've been watching a lot this year, and this is like the final stage of the calendar. We've had all the Grand Slams. There's only one real big event left, and that is the ATP final. So strap in, get yourself a nice cold drink or a hot drink, whatever works for you, and welcome to the countdown.
Novak Djokovic has won the Australian Open. 35 matches unbeaten. He's done it! He wins his 14th Roland Garros title. Djokovic wins the Tour Finals for a record equaling 6 times.
Right, so let's kick off as we always do on the countdown. We're going to kick off with the men's first, and we are going to be talking about, obviously, the race. And Novak Djokovic, he is the US Open champion. Daniil Medvedev, he's the runner-up as well. And Carlos Alcaraz, he makes up what is now the big three on the men's side. And these are the ones who are sort of fighting it out for potential year-end number one. And they are the only three that have secured their place really in this tour final so far. So who are going to be the other people who get there? What do you reckon?
Well, looking at the list now, I can see it on the screen. We've got Sinner, Rublev, Tsitsipas, Rune, Zverev, Fritz, Ruud, and Alex de Minaur. They're the ones sort of making up the other spots. Of course, only 5 of them names I've just mentioned can obviously qualify with there being 8 spots. But like you said, the big talking point for me is not who else is going to qualify. I'm going to be honest with you, Ben. I don't really care too much. I don't think it matters. My point is, you can put any of them names I've mentioned. You can put anyone from sort of 15 to 20 on the race in there, because there's only going to be 3 people competing for the title, and that is the 3 people who have already qualified.
Disagree.
I
think
no one
Zverev,
else. No,
I feel that on indoor hardcourt, if he has a good few tournaments, he could actually potentially compete. He's won it before as well. He's decent. And I think if he comes back into form on indoor hardcourt, maybe.
I'm glad you said Zverev, because that probably wasn't the obvious selection.
Yeah.
But I actually agree. I think that is the 4th best in this situation.
Yeah.
However, it's between them top 3. And the title of the video also is the race or the battle to be world number 1 come the end of the year. Who's it going to be? I know you did a news video, which was quite popular. Go check that out if you want to see what Ben's thoughts are. But personally, Novak Djokovic won't be world number 1 come the end of the year. I'm about 80% confident on that. Yeah. And that is because I think he's got a lot of points to defend, whereas Carlos Alcaraz doesn't. And
we can have a look at that now, actually, as we're speaking about it. I'll bring this one up on the screen for everyone to see. And you can see at the top of the screen here, we've got, obviously, Djokovic, Alcaraz, Medvedev, and the points that they will be dropping in the back end of the year. Djokovic dropping a considerable amount there. We can see 2,850 points being dropped. And Alcaraz, hardly any. 360. I mean, didn't have a great back end of the year, and then obviously was injured, missed the tour finals. And Medvedev only won in Vienna, and other than that, he had the semi-final in Astana, and he got defeated by Alex de Minaur, wasn't it, in the first round or first match that he played in Paris. So many points up for grabs.
That is Daniil Medvedev's best little period, usually.
Normally.
Historically, he's very good at them events. Paris and Turin, which is going to be the tour finals.
Yeah.
That is where he can pick up points. So this is why I'm suggesting I don't think Djokovic will be, come the end of the year, world number 1. you got to look at it. How important is it? I mean, for him to be world number one come the end of the year, I don't think that nowhere near is as important as, say, winning more Grand Slams and extending himself at the top of the race. We've seen so many comments coming through with both Rafa and Djokovic going back and forth. I know the Rafa interview was quite crazy.
Yeah.
But clearly that is his priority. His priority is the Slam race and the Grand Slam. So I don't think the world number one means so much to him. But I know a lot of the Djokovic fans are very keen to see him keep pushing the weeks at world number one even higher than what it is.
Yeah.
In terms of the tour finals, of course, this is the countdown where we're going to be speaking about contenders. And I'm going to really find it difficult on the men's every single week to talk about, of course, because there's only 8 players in it, but we're not going to be able to talk about different contenders. So I think we're going to have to do this a bit of a different way.
Yeah. I mean, we're just going to be sort of analyzing how we go through these next few weeks and seeing how the positions are going to change. Who's going to fill up? Who do we think is going to fill up the remaining gaps is probably how we're going to deal with it rather than who's going to win it. I think we know that the candidates for winning it are a small group, really.
Is it the 3?
It's the 3, maybe plus one more.
Plus Zverev?
Maybe, yeah. I don't think Tsitsipas is going to probably be winning anything. He's just come out and said he's just happy just to be with Badoza.
What do you make of the Tsitsipas comments?
Well, I put a tweet out and I just thought, it just seems like somebody who doesn't really look like he's ever going to win a Grand Slam if he's going to be like that. He's happy. Brilliant. I'm happy for him, if anything, but I'm not happy for maybe his family. I feel that they are probably looking at him thinking, really, what? You just got to 2 Slam finals. You're on the cusp, really, and you're just going to now...
Would his family not want him just to be happy in himself more than anything?
Okay, just his dad then, I'm going to say. I don't think it's just his family.
Because, I don't know, his comments has made me think quite a bit. And what I mean by that is, how important is tennis, or how important is sport in the grand schemes of life?
Well, exactly.
How important is your job? I don't want to throw you under the bus, but how important is your job you do on a daily basis, on a 9 to 5? How important is that? Of course, tennis is a very different because we're tennis fans. We do a tennis podcast.
I don't think my job's going to go down in history. Really.
We would give our right arm to be able to play tennis. But maybe not, because we wouldn't be very good with no right arm.
There would be no tennis.
But you get what I mean. Of course, we would love that. And these players, it is a job as well. So it's like, surely you'd put your own happiness and your own life before anything, any job. But then on the other hand, you look at, if you want to be remembered as a great tennis player and go down in the history books, there's no point just competing.
Is it just a job, though?
You need to go on and win and be part of history.
Is it just a job to him then? Is he another chapeau?
Well, I think that's what he's outlined then. Well, but by them comments, for me, I'm looking at that thinking, okay, he would love to be world number one. He would love to win a Grand Slam, but it's not as important as his relationship with Badoza, in other words.
Yeah.
Then really, it is just a job. He would love it, but he doesn't love it enough to sacrifice parts of your personal life. And the word sacrifice is so important with sport because they go hand in hand. The greatest ever sporting competitors we've ever seen, and even now in football or any other sports, they need sacrifice. It's the most important thing ever. To be the best at any discipline, you need to sacrifice a lot of time and a lot of your personal, family, social life. And clearly, that is not where his priorities align. Fair play. Everyone's different. But if we're talking about Stefanos Tsitsipas as a contender for this event, I'll say to you, jog on. He's got no chance.
Do you think that Badoza being so injury prone as well has a negative effect on how he will then continue his career? Because if she's not on the tennis court and not pushing him, like, let's say, because when they're both on the tennis court, they can practice together, they can do all the... If she's injured, he might be spending less time on the tennis court, more time wanting to be spent with her, maybe just make sure she's all right. And
yeah, potentially, but ultimately it comes down to Steph himself and where his priorities lie.
Yeah.
You can't blame Badoza for that. She's injured a lot. it is what it is, and it can be maybe a bigger distraction. I can assure you of that. It probably is, because there's so many different options when they go to these different countries to do so much more other than tennis. But is that the reason why? No, of course not. It comes from within.
Deep down, I'm actually very happy for him and for her as well. But it doesn't mean that I'm not a bit disappointed if he doesn't go on and actually achieve a Grand Slam, which I think he can. I think he's got all the ability. He's sort of sorted out the mental a little bit more than it was a couple of or 2 or 3 years ago. I felt like he's just on the cusp. I hope that this would be the thing that pushed him to achieve greatness, not the thing that will sort of hinder him in achieving it. But
yeah, well, I think mentality-wise, that's where things are clearly lacking at the moment.
Yeah.
But moving away from Steph, let's speak about what I just said a second ago, and that is who's going to end world number one come the end of the year. You can see the different breakdown. I think it was it this view or the other view you had?
Yeah. Well, what do you want, the live race, or you want?
No, you can. Sorry, go back to the one you had. That's fine. Yeah, you can see the breakdown here and how many points they've got left. Do you feel that Djokovic is not going to be it? Because in your news video, I wasn't sure what you were saying.
What?
Because you kept flicking between the three of them.
Well, it's difficult.
I don't think you gave your opinion.
No, I didn't.
No.
I didn't give
so
my
now's
opinion.
your chance. Give your opinion now. I want to see. Do you believe? I know you're wearing the 24 Joker shirt. Yeah. You can buy one of them if you like it. It's quite nice, I must admit.
Beautiful.
Same about the 24 and the Djokovic on there, but
yeah,
it'll do.
It's the wolf. But yeah, I've added.
Is he going to be world number one?
I've added something to this, and it's a bit dependent as well. I know that with Alcaraz, he's the one who can achieve the most points. I've added the max possible points that they can achieve individually there, and you can see Alcaraz 12,600 if he wins everything, but he's put himself as a doubt for Beijing already, and that's I don't know if he's actually pulled out of the event or if he's planning on it, but he's announced that it was maybe a doubt for it. He's more planning to play Shanghai. So is Medvedev. I feel that these faster courts, they might favour Daniil Medvedev out there in Shanghai. I think that Medvedev probably the favourite going into these tournaments. And I actually fancy Medvedev to do better than Alcaraz come the end of the year. If Medvedev was to win, look, let's just put this into perspective. If he's to win both of these events, Medvedev, and then let's say he wins Vienna again, that puts him up still 400 points behind Djokovic going into Paris.
Yeah,
and this is what I mean. Like, this is how difficult it's gonna. This is why Djokovic has taken.
But you just said win 3 events, and this is why I don't agree with you. I think Alcaraz has the easiest run. Looking at that, because I don't think it means much about Beijing or Shanghai at all.
Do you not?
Not really, because if you just isolate Paris and Turin, you can see he's defending 180 points. Yeah. Djokovic, what's that?
600
plus 1.5, so 2,100 points.
Yeah, but if you look at the one,
but this is what I'm saying. So they're quite close at the moment. Alcaraz doesn't even need to win Paris and Turin if he goes deep in both, and you'd expect him to play both.
No, but if you look at the bottom, this is the bottom section is showing the points that they're on with minus all the points taken off. 8,945 Djokovic is on. Alcaraz is on 8,165. So it's 800, 800 behind. So he's going to need to pick up 800 points before Paris to be level pegging going in. Would you think he'll pick up 800 points in the tournaments before, is what I'm saying?
No, I don't think that's not. Wait, I'm getting confused there. I don't think that's what it means.
Yeah, that's what I've.
So you're telling me
the year for you. I've saved
the
you the
year
trouble.
end total
at the moment,
yeah,
without anything being added on. So if Djokovic wins Paris, he'll be on 9,000. If he wins the whole tour finals without losing a match again,
no, I'm not saying he's going to win both. Forget that he doesn't win both.
So what do you
say in Paris? Put 500 there.
Well, and then say he gets to the final, he gets 600.
Okay, and then final of Turin as well.
So then that'll be, I think it's 1,000 to get to the final.
Roughly. And then Alcaraz, he wins Paris.
So he wins Paris. Okay. I don't think that will happen, but we'll put that in there.
And then wins Turin, 1.5. Is that not enough?
Yeah, by like 100 points.
There we go.
But do you think he's going to win every single match on indoor hard court over the two
No,
events? I don't.
No, because I think that is by him. I know what you're saying now. I can see exactly what you mean and what that year-end
Djokovic has got to be favourite, I feel.
To be year-end number
one.
No,
but I feel like it's just dependent on whether Alcaraz picks up points in Shanghai. I mean, if he picks up even if he picks up like 360 points here, and then he goes on to Basel again, and maybe let's say he just wins. He could win this event, and then he's in a very strong position. He doesn't even need to get to the final maybe in Paris. He could get to like maybe semi-finals and still achieve something here. But this is what I mean. It's all of these things are like maybe
there's a lot of variables.
Yeah.
But if I had to pick a name without doing all these numbers, because I know it can get a bit complicated, I think Carlos Alcaraz will finish the year as world number 1.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Djokovic. I feel that there's something he's just... I think that the other players aren't going to do as well as what we think. I think that Medvedev's going to probably do better than Alcaraz in these tournaments. And even still, he'll do better. I still think Alcaraz will probably be number 2, Medvedev 3, Djokovic number 1.
Okay. Well, there we go. That is our first segment of the countdown. Let's move on to the second, which is latest news.
So this is where we go through Twitter and have a look at what the Twitter world is saying about the ATP Tour Finals. And the first one up is Novak Djokovic, and it's saying he has punched his ticket to the 23 Nitto ATP Finals in Turin. Qualified, for him and 2 others. Alcaraz,
it's a bit of a shock, Medvedev. Isn't it? Seeing Djokovic qualified. I don't know how he's managed it.
I know. Barely won any matches this year.
Well, I think he's done all right in the Grand Slam, so he's snuck in just about. But yeah, of course, qualified. And it's quite significant as well, because that is now, I don't know if you knew this, his 16th time since.
What?
16th time he's got into the ATP Finals. Rafael Nadal has 17 and Roger Federer has 18. So a little bit of a fun fact for you there, Ben.
Thanks for that. Check the outtakes there. Right, let's keep going down. And look who it is. It's Mr. Silk. John with Talking Tennis saying, and he gets a pass for RG, and I'm guessing he's talking about
Taylor Fritz. So I can fill you in on this. So he's referring to Taylor Fritz and how he's performed this year. John goes on to say, I'll let you read it because I've got the light in the way.
So he says, and he gets a pass for Roland Garros, but by the high standards he set in 2022, Indian Wells winner, quarterfinal at Wimbledon, qualified and was a threat at the ATP Finals. 2023 has been a disappointment for Taylor Fritz.
It's a good talking point, and I think we should discuss it because he's another name who's in the conversation to potentially qualify.
Yes.
He did quite well last year. He's got a good serve. He's got a good game to go well in the indoor hard courts. But I actually agree with John. I don't think I've said that often, but I don't think he's had a great season all in all. I think he's been okay.
Yeah.
But by his standards and the ability he has, I think it is a downgrade from last year, and he was better last year. And I've been disappointed in certain isolated matches where he's lost to lesser opposition. And that's happened far too often this year.
Yep. I agree. I thought he looks like somebody who could challenge the big players last year. This year, I feel like he's been eclipsed by the likes of other Americans, like your Sheltons, people like that. And
TFO, Tommy Paul.
I think it's good that they've got such strength in depth, but it means you can easily be overshadowed by some of your peers. And he was having the year of his life. Now we had Tommy Paul, got to a slam semi-final. Shelton, slam semi-final. Having a great year. TFO, slam semi-final in the US Open last year. So they're all doing like big things on the tour. And Fritz now sort of been left sort of in the rearview mirror a little bit. And I feel that he needs to step it up a bit. He has more game, you'd say, than some of the other players we just mentioned. But just not consistent. That match against Djokovic, if we have to go back to that, I know it's going to roll you up if we talk about it again, because I know during it was one of the most painful things, just knowing he's going to lose 8 out of 8 and just not really seeing real Taylor Fritz. I don't want to say bottle, but it just doesn't turn up when he plays the big players like Djokovic.
Yeah, exactly. And I feel, is he going to get in? He's got a good chance. If he does, I don't consider him beating these players because he's shown time and time again he can't. So that's my thoughts on Taylor Fritz. He does bottle in the big occasions, but that's enough of him. Let's move on to the next tweet.
I'd prefer to probably have someone like Alex de Minaur in there, if I'm perfectly honest.
Here we go. We've got Ollie Patone. This is the next one. This is about Daniil Medvedev. And this is that he's only failed to reach the semi-final of a best-of-3 hard-court tournament twice since the end of September 22, excluding the ATP finals. His 2 losses, Alex de Minaur in Paris and Toronto. So it's Alex de Minaur both times. You might want to just pause that video.
Yeah, let me just get rid of this.
But yeah, certainly a player he struggles with, and someone is quite interesting because he's got a good chance of actually getting into the ATP finals.
Yeah.
I think he's had a really encouraging season. He's a young guy, and I am really excited to see if next year he can build on this season. Because at the moment he's not close, I don't think, to Yannick Sinner, Rune.
Not really.
Of course, Alcaraz. I think there's a little bit of a gap, and he has all the ability to close that gap. And my prediction is that he will. I think he's an awesome player, and he does very well against some of the big servers. Particularly, of course, the example of Daniil Medvedev. Seems
Jarry as well. Yeah, going straight sets.
Exactly. He has some big players, some difficult players' numbers on a regular basis. So
I would Skatov as well.
Yeah, exactly. Less of that, but Alex de Minaur, I want to see him qualify, and I find him fascinating to watch against some big players because he's a player who can turn up on the big occasion.
Yeah, he really can. I mean, he obviously lost in the final of Los Cabos to Tsitsipas, lost in the final of the next event, Yannick Sinner, and then was knocked out of Cincinnati by an informed Gal Monfils. Don't think you can hold that against him. Monfils in inspired form. And then Medvedev, the eventual finalist in the US Open. I mean, he's just been playing a bit of Davis Cup. I know he likes a bit of playing with the other Aussies, doesn't he? Yeah. I mean, he liked it in the ATP Cup. He's had a couple of wins there as well. I think he's good money.
He played very well against Rafa in the ATP Cup that one time.
He's an incredible player. Yeah. I think he's an exciting player as well because his style of tennis is different to what you see from other players. You don't just get all big hitting and big serving. He's quick around the court and he uses angles and he uses his speed just to be able to bamboozle players. I mean, there's nowhere on the court you can put the ball that you can't get to. So anyway, move on to the next one. Let's keep on going down.
Another Ollie one.
Oh, and this one's a good one. Saying confirmed. Saudi Arabia will host the next gen ATP finals from 2023 to 2027. $2 million prize money. And well, the Saudis seem to be taking over sport, don't they? Golf. More recently, they've sort of taken over, and now they're coming into a little bit of the. I think this is just the start of tennis, to be honest. It's a good entry point.
It's not happened yet, but it will happen with tennis.
Yep.
And it's going to happen with every single sport.
Yeah.
Because money will always talk. And Saudi Arabia don't quite understand it, but they just seem to have an endless supply of money. I don't know if it all comes from oil or...
I think so.
I'm not sure, but it just seems like it's an endless supply. You've seen it with the football players. So many of them now going over to play in the Saudi League.
Yeah.
We've seen it, like you said, with golf. We've seen it with big fights and boxing events. They're being held in Saudi for a lot of money. We're talking sometimes double, triple what's being offered in other countries. So when you've got that kind of money, of course, people will follow. And you're a prime example, Ben. I'm sure if Saudi gave you a ring on your buzzer, on your phone, you'd be straight over there.
Who says I haven't had the call already?
All Saudi have to do is bell up your phone and say, oh, Ben, we're looking for a tennis commentator over in Saudi. We're going to pay you £200,000 a year. You'll be over there. You'll be on the next flight as well. So I'm not going to come out here and say anything too negative because I want to keep my options open. But no, that's a joking aside. It's because at the end of the day, you can't blame these people, these organizations for doing it Because they're just doing what we're all doing, and that's just following the money. That's what
Yeah.
life has become.
That's what life is these days, sadly. But who's to say? I mean, I want to give up my high-flying job that I'm currently in.
What annoys me is people taking the moral high ground when if it was them on the other, if you turn it around and it's on them, they would be straight there.
Yeah.
All I say is be consistent.
Didn't
with your
Gary
views.
Neville? He got it in the neck, didn't he?
Listen, if you want to criticize, and I'm telling you what, there's a lot to criticize about it. That's fine. Just be consistent with it.
Don't go there after.
Don't go there straight afterwards. And a lot of people are doing that at the moment. I just want to see a bit of consistency with it.
I just thought it was funny the way that the British media just went above and beyond to just put female presenters on like constantly. All they did was just like, we don't like your rights against women, all that. So all they did was just everyone was a female pundit. I've never seen so many for like a men's football match. But if that's what they want to do to make a stand,
what are you referring about the Qatar World Cup?
Yeah. I don't have any problem with them doing that, but it just seemed a little bit too obvious. Just like, yeah, I know you're trying to make a point, but there's other ways of doing it, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway, steady on, Strickland. Let's move down.
Strickland.
Well, this is the last one, I think.
Strickland. God.
Oh, it's in Spanish. Perfect. Luckily, we've got a Spaniard in the room.
Novak Djokovic es el único tenista con cuarto en 10 big tournament diferente en 1990, 2023.
So this is Novak Djokovic. How many times he's won big tournaments, right? And if you can see there right at the bottom, ATP finals, he's won. Is that 6?
6.
Perfecto.
Gracias.
Yeah, I mean, he's won everything, Novak Djokovic. I mean, in terms of what Nadal was saying, maybe this is a nice segue for that moment. I can see both sides. I can understand it sounded a little bit like sour grapes. But what we only saw was a clip of a long form content. And I would never judge anyone off a clip, which has then been translated from one language to another.
Yeah.
And then everyone's trying to understand and interpret it. We've already seen clips since from the same clip with him saying that he believes that Djokovic is out there as, according to the records, the greatest. The numbers do not lie, he says. He believes that Djokovic cannot be surpassed. He's someone who's going to keep his body fitter than anyone else. Yep. And that's why when you see all of these numbers here, he's been able to do that. He's been able to play in a lot more events than Rafael Nadal over the years in his peak periods.
Yep.
And that's what makes a great player. You got to add that to the whole thing. Doesn't mean Rafael Nadal's not great.
No.
He's my favorite and he's an incredible tennis player. And I think he's still got one big moment left in him or two. Maybe with Carlos Alcaraz at the Olympics and the doubles.
Whoa.
But Rafa was right in a lot of what he said. And I think a lot of Djokovic fans just couldn't wait to jump down his throat.
Naming anyone in particular?
You.
Oh, I thought you were going to say Pavi G.
No, yeah.
Right. Any more? Or
no, let's move on. Let's move on from the latest news. We've spoke about some of them ones. Okay. And the next segment is Tennis Shootout.
The Tennis Shootout. We ask each other a question, this time from the comfort of a sofa. So on this one, we'll get 30 seconds to answer the question. There it is. Put the clock up. And this is the question I'm going to ask to you.
Oh, so you're going first, are you?
Yeah, I'm going to ask you a question while it's fresh in the mind.
Right.
So, with the ATP Tour finals, there have been a number of Americans that have won this tournament. But do you know how many Americans have won this tournament? Go.
Okay, are you talking about the inception of when this tournament first began, like sort of 1970s? Because it was classified as different. It had a different name every year.
I'd say from 1970s onwards, yeah.
Okay. On that basis, how many different Americans has won it?
Yeah.
I reckon my answer's going to be 4.
Final answer?
Yeah.
It's not right, I'm afraid. It's actually 5. It's close.
Go on, what are the 5?
So we had Andre Agassi. He has 1. Stan Smith with 1. McEnroe. He has, is that 3? Sampras has 5.
Okay, so Stan Smith is who I didn't count.
So did I count them all right? Oh, Jimmy Connors as well in 77. Sorry, I missed that
Yeah,
one.
so Stan Smith is the one I didn't know.
Yeah, Stan Smith, famous for American Dad on the TV, if you've seen the cartoon. Yeah, it wasn't them.
Right, so my question. My one's quite a good one.
Oh, no.
I think you're going to enjoy it.
I probably will.
I'm just going to get I should probably get a little timer for you as well. I know you didn't do that for me because you're not as organised, but luckily I am.
Well, it was a pretty quick question. I mean, it was...
Okay, anyway, it's all here, so I can give you the timer. So my question to you is this, Ben.
Okay.
The ATP Finals, as you know, is held in Turin. And that license runs from 2021 to 2025. Before that, it was held in London. 2009 to 2020. My question to you is a 2-part question.
Oh, why are they always 2-part?
Where was it held before? And what surface was it played on? Go.
Dun, 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 dun. Where was it held before? Very good question. Do I need a city or a country? That's a...
Either's good.
Because I don't know either, so I'm going to go for a stat.
10 seconds.
I'm going to go with China.
2, 1,
And
0.
And what was
So
the...
we need the surface and the country. So you say China.
Yeah, I'll go with China.
Surface.
Hardcore.
Hardcore.
Yeah.
Okay, I can confirm it's partially correct. And you're correct because it was in China. However, in 2006, it was played on carpet.
Oh, not this carpet. I knew there was going to be a
But
stipulation.
it also was then played on a hard court in Shanghai from 2006 to 2008. So on that basis, you're 80% there, Ben.
I knew there would
But
be
you never got the carpet.
I knew
there.
you would bring it up. There would be a reason you said what surface, and I knew that.
You thought it was going to just be a
I
trick
thought-
question that is hardcore.
I thought it was going to be like randomly there was like some other surface, but it's surely I didn't know carpet was introduced. So I'm learned something new.
Yeah.
So let us know if you got those ones right at home. But that's it for this week's tennis shootout, isn't it?
Yep, that's right. And don't get cocky because you got 80% of a question right.
Well, not bad.
And yeah, I guess that is the end of the countdown as well, because we're not going to be doing the rankings update today.
Yeah.
Because we've touched on that at the start of the video. And really, I feel like we've spoke about a lot of different topics. Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below and ask us some questions, because next week we are going to answer some of your questions on the countdown. We're going to have a whole segment dedicated to it. We want to hear what you guys have to say, and we will answer on this very couch any questions you guys may have. But for this one, thank you for watching the countdown. Make sure if you haven't already, hit the like button, subscribe if you're new, and watch out, Djokovic fans. Carlos Alcaraz is coming for No.1.
Good luck with that.
Let's go. Vamos.